Good evening. Good evening. Happy Sunday. Thank you for joining us. This is our monthly book club pick of the month. Sister girls, I hope you are logging in and joining us. We have Mel, how do you pronounce your last name?
Da, Mel Dau.
Here. And we are going to be talking about her book, Mega Man. But before we get into that, while people are joining the live, whether you are joining on Facebook or YouTube or the app formerly known as Twitter, thank you for joining us. Let's get into some icebreakers to get us warmed up.
Okay.
Okay, don't think too hard. These questions are just supposed to be really easy to answer. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Water, wine, coffee, or tea?
Water,
Morning or night?
night,
Digital or print?
digital,
That's surprising. Standalone or a series?
standalone,
Music or quiet?
quiet.
That's it. Those are the questions. I always find these questions interesting to ask authors
Mhm.
because um, the first one, digital or print, just because I like a lot of authors prefer print, but digital is just so easy. Like,
Mm-mm. I have
you're
tons of paperback, but I don't read them. They're just for the shelves.
same, same.
And I
Um,
like to read in bed. So when a book hits you in your face one too many times, you like, yeah, maybe this ain't a good idea.
so for me, I always choose digital because that way you always have a book with you. Like now that everything is so streamlined, like people be laughing. I tell people like I've said this many times on the chats. If I'm looking at my phone for a long period of time, I am more than likely reading a book. I'm not on
Yeah,
social media. I'm not. I'm more than likely reading a book. That's what I
same.
love about digital is that you
Mm-hmm.
always have a book with you. You always have something to read with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's now get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about you for a bit before, and then we're gonna talk about Mega and Ruth.
Okay.
Where are you from? And when you're not writing, what do you like to do?
So I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. When I'm not writing, honestly, I'm a movie head, a TV head, so I watch a lot of TV, I binge things and things like that. I watch a lot, like probably more than I should of crime documentaries.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's gonna tie into a later question. Let's put a pin in there.
like
Boom.
I have a serial killer bay.
That we gonna talk about that. You said you do like to read,
Hmm.
and so in this book feature a lot of book material because of
It,
Ruth's uh, hidden career, secret career. But if you could, uh, as a reader, not an author,
mhm.
suggest three must read books to our sister girls.
Right as of right now, the must read books on my mind that pop out the most, and I know everyone probably done on this, but the Delgado series,
Yeah.
Jacqueline,
Hmm.
Capone, Capadonna, and Capri. Lord, if you ain't on that, I don't know what you're doing. And Siobhan Latrice Crenshaw series.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
two.
well, they're both sagas. And Monique, her saga series with is it Untethered Love, Blue August.
Okay, with the police,
Yeah,
with the brothers
yeah,
that are cops. Okay,
yeah.
I
So
read
I'm
that.
a saga girl. I love sagas.
But you just said standalone.
So that, but they're technically standalone. So sagas are standalones,
Not
but
it's,
not continued
okay,
story.
right. So Jaquel's isn't because it's three it's three books in the Capone series. It's three books in the Capone series.
Right,
And then the saga continues with Capadonna, and now we're on the Capri. So that's a
right.
series and a saga. So it's like a combination.
Yeah, yeah, but the way she dropped them is kind of
Yeah.
like you didn't miss nothing. And I love it was genius the way she dropped them from a not only a for the appreciation of the readers, but let's just be real about it from a marketing standpoint and from a business standpoint, the way she dropped them was genius.
Shout out to Jack, but we got to get her on here. It's just hard. It's like, but we got to get her on something because
Mhm.
this series, like you said, it's everywhere. We definitely need to discuss it. She has books slated all the way out into 2025 with this.
I'm telling you.
So I think that's really cool. So shout out to her. And you're right. If you have not seen either of those series, the Jaquel J series or the Siobhan Latrice series, you have to be under a rock because those two series really have been carrying it through 2025.
Right. And all of Jaquel's are coming on Audible. She got an Audible deal for all of those.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, and then Siobhan Latrice, all of hers are on Audible, and the last one comes out in January, which I've already pre-ordered.
See, I'm not an Audible girl, but I just love that for just the independent Black literary community that they're getting as many opportunities now as their counterparts, because I always say that this material, to me, it deserves a light. And that's what we at Sister Girls Book Club is about. It's about shining a light on the authors in our community, because we believe that you guys deserve a platform to many, many people. And that's why we're here tonight doing this chat with you. Because even though Mega came out over the summer, we were on summer break. So when we pulled it back, I said, "Oh, we got to talk about this book," because I saw it everywhere this summer. So thank you for those recommendations. If you missed those recommendations, it was the Delgado series by Jaquel J. The
Crenshaw
Kings by Siobhan Latrice.
And Monique's, I don't know what the series is called, but it's August Blue.
Yeah, Blue. We actually when Blue Drop spoke to her we interviewed her about that book. So I do know which series you're talking about. Thank you. So speaking of becoming an author, being independent Black literature, when did you know you wanted to be an author?
So I never wanted to be an author.
Wow. You are the second person in a row that I've interviewed that said that.
Yeah, I never wanted to be. It was never. I hear others like, I wanted to be one since I was a kid. This never crossed my mind. It wasn't on my bucket list. It wasn't on my to-do list.
Because then we hear.
What happened was Zatasha from Bookies on Facebook. She was me and her were friends, so we kind of was working together on Bookies or whatever. And she was like, "Hey, I'm doing a short story contest. Write something." So I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So I wrote like my first release, Charleston Love Sword, Kaya and Pie. The first 2 chapters in that book was a short story.
Okay.
So she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, so I'm actually sourcing because I want to start a publication company and I want you to sign." And I was like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "Absolutely not."
It's a hard no, straight from the door.
I'm too busy, blocka, blocka, blocka. But the reality of it was the prior October, my father had died. And I was in a very bad state. So when she asked me, she asked me literally like on a Tuesday, and Friday I had already set a suicide plan. So Friday I was supposed to be dead. So she was like, "Come on." I said, "No, I don't have time, blah, blah, blah." So then the Wednesday, Saja J reaches out to me, and they were teaming together for the publication company. She said, "Look, just write 5 chapters and tell me how you feel." And out of deference to her, because she was one of my favorite authors, I was like, okay. So I wrote 5 chapters in one day, and I realized that I can kind of entune my father in these fictional characters and his knowledge and his wisdom to me in these characters. So that I signed my contract, I want to say March 31st, and my first book came out April 8th or something like that. And for the first year, I wrote 15 books because the first year I was writing to stay alive. So if I wrote, I wasn't suicidal. And then I got, I started taking because I'm diagnosed bipolar. So I started taking my meds like I was supposed to. I started going to therapy like I was supposed to. So it kind of changed. And then I just happened to be a good writer. Like I didn't realize. And
God do it. Like,
and I was like, oh, so this is my purpose. Because I'm 43, and I promise you, I walked around like I don't know what my purpose is. I'm gonna just be good at everything. So if something is, I at least I'm good at it.
That's I'm sorry. That's a testimony. Like, this is I cannot close my mouth because what? Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah, I had it was not. I was like, nope. And literally, when I say I had a suicide,
I said, slow down, Savannah.
No, yeah. When I say I had a suicide plan, I had already planned how I can do it where it didn't look like a suicide to make sure my benefits paid out. Look, I was on one, and it was planned.
But this is just two separate things at once. The grip of grief, okay? The grip of grief will really take you through it and it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
You learn to cope in different ways, but the grip
Right.
of grief never really releases you when you lose people who really, really were at the core, the foundation of love in your life.
Right.
So condolences still, I don't care how long it was, because
Mhm.
that grief just never, it never, like people, oh, you get, no, no. You learn to live with it. You learn to cope,
Right.
healthier coping mechanisms, but it never really goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But also the testimony in all of this is just mind blowing because
Mm-hmm.
hello, did y'all skip church this morning? 'Cause hello, because to know that your reason to say no, like absolutely not, I'm not going to do this because I don't even want to be here. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to be here. So you're asking me for something that I know I'm not going to be here for.
I don't want to commit to anything. I didn't want to commit to anything because I always told people, and I've had suicide attempts even since then, but I've always told people, and people are like, "You crazy?" I was like, "Look now, one thing I'm not going to do is be slack because I'm not going to die." And somebody was like, "Yeah, Tyson's supposed to do such and such, and she ain't even do it." You ain't gonna talk about me when I'm dead. Talk about I'm slack. And that's always been my attitude. So in order to, when I talk to my therapist and my psychiatrist, they ask me, what are you doing to subside your suicidal thoughts? And my response is always, I'm too busy to die. So as long as I keep committing myself to things, I'm never going to try to die because
That's the thing you were trying not to do. And
right,
this and we went and flipped that right on his head. You were trying not to commit yourself to things because you did not want to not be a woman of your word,
exactly,
that part of your life. You said, I'm still going to be a woman of my word. So I'm going to tell you no, because
right,
I can't be a woman of my word.
right.
Wow. I'm glad you're here. I'm happy to have you. I'm glad we get
I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm still holding on. I still have my struggles, but I live with bipolar every day, and I have my off days. But I have a strong community, and that honestly, that community includes readers and authors. Because a reader will come if I'm looking kind of funny on Facebook. A reader will come in my inbox real quick and be like, "Hey, I'm about to call you."
I love that. And I
Mhm,
love that, the mental health. I'm happy that you feel comfortable sharing that because this is still
mhm,
something that we don't talk about. And Black women are suffering at really high numbers for a variety of different reasons. And I do mental health advocacy work outside of like what so I'm so happy you're here. And that is a beautiful story that in the most tragic part of your life, you found this gift and
mhm.
you were pushed into a gift that you weren't even aware of. And like you said, you were living for a good portion of life, not even aware.
Mm-mm.
And an opportunity presented itself, and now we're here.
Right,
So congratulations to you, even though you didn't want to be an author, you are doing
right. And now I'm a full-time author.
it.
Ironically,
Ironically, like this is your life. So with that being said, so the first year you focused on pouring your grief
hmm
into your characters so you
hmm
could have something, so your father could live through those characters, so
right.
to speak. Is your process the same? Tell us how your process has changed since that first year.
So now it's not necessarily pouring my grief, but I've taken, like, when you become an author, you go through the whole situation of branding and finding your voice and stuff. So my brand is literally impinging on my mental health. My pen game is bipolar. So everything wraps around my mental health. So when I'm going through my process, I try to always find a social issue, something that people aren't really talking about, to focus on my books. Even if it's just little gems throughout the book, I want everyone to get entertainment, of course, out of my books, but I want somebody to get something that they didn't even realize they needed. Whether it's one sentence, one scenario, I want my fictional catalog to affect at least one person's non-fictional life.
I like that. Okay.
So as long as I feel like I can do that, then I'm happy with that. So no matter how entertaining my stories are, or I'm always trying to just find something, and I still do the whole embody my father and now my mother, because my mother died in 2019. So just a lot of things that I just always try to put stuff in there and teach you something, entertain you, encourage you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So where do you draw inspiration from?
So ironically, for as far as the characters, they pop up in dreams and then they start talking. And Megan was very, very aggressive, so they start talking when it comes, and then I start circling around that. So it just kind of, it's not really even inspiration. Every once in a blue moon, I write something that's based on a trend. Like during COVID, I wrote like quarantine love, because it just, like, okay. But most of the time it's based on the characters talking to me. Okay, what we gonna talk about today? There are a couple books. There's one book I wrote based on a reader's request, but it was still once I got into the book, the characters start talking, or whatever the case may be. But more than likely, most of my books, I dream. The characters come to me first, and then the story starts rounding out.
Okay. All right. That's great. Okay. I can see that. So with this book, Mega, and we're gonna circle back to what you said earlier about true crime. How much research did you went into the development of these characters, or so because of his work occupation? I was curious because it was very detailed. So did your love for is that where your love for true crime kind of showed in this book?
Yeah. So my love for true crimes, I don't know how I feel about saying this out loud. I like violent stuff. I mean, I'm not a violent person overall, but I like watching violent movies. I'm a biggest John Wick fan.
I am a horror junkie, and people never believe me. I just turned off a horror movie. Like, I am a horror junkie. I watch horror all the time. That is, suspense and horror are my
right.
I watch from the most goriest to the most suspenseful, that you have to figure out at the end. And people always so funny, but you don't. Yeah, but I get it. I get it.
Right. So, and that's a lot of it just came into play with that, like stuff like that, especially with the whole, and then, I have people in my life, what I'm saying? Like, quite frankly, my husband, he's a love him. He's a felon. He knows a lot of street stuff. So I'm like, babe, so how are we supposed to do this?
Not you had a dream and rolled over. It was like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Right.
So when I wake up, I need you to go into detail.
I'm like, so if somebody, and he's from Long Beach, California, so he a whole other kind of person. So I'm like, anytime I have questions, I'm like street questions, I'm like, he's from Long Beach, California. He's a Crip, like a real one.
You have your own personal resource, right? Just locked in.
And he was like, one time I was trying to write something that was a little more urban, and there was some drug stuff in it. He was like, yeah, babe, don't go through that, because you're gonna get caught up on I hear you talking about kilos, and you don't know how to split that, and we're not gonna go through that. I was like, oh, okay, pull me back.
I love it. I love this because because a lot of people don't do their due diligence on certain topics, and a lot of it just becomes repeated misinformation.
Right.
And then you talk to somebody and you think you know what you're talking about because you done read all these books, and they're like, who told you that?
Right.
The books told me. And it's like, that's not how that happens. That's
right.
not how that works.
Because like I was talking about drug addicts one time. He's like, babe, you do realize there's different kind of fiends. Like a crackhead ain't the same as a pipehead ain't the same. I'm like, really?
Levels to it. It's levels to it. You got the ones that's fully functioning and go to work every day, and it's levels to this. And yeah, when you talk to people, you think you know what you talk about, and you like, yeah, because I got the baking powder, and they're like,
that's not what it is. Right.
And it's like, God, why is y'all changing it up so much? And it's because people don't do their due diligence, or they don't
Right.
have a resource like you do to say either go all the way or don't do it.
Yeah, don't touch it.
And just kind of, you know, and I also think, to that point, when we talk about urban fiction versus street literature, I think that's the difference as well.
Yes, totally different.
When you talk about street literature, like just street fiction, that you're going to get the nitty gritty in the details, right? And the details are going to be more accurate because these are usually coming from a place of experience and
Right.
research, that they know the truth about it. Whereas urban literally just means based in a city. And I think people get those two things kind of crossed, and it's like, this is not street
I
fiction.
agree.
This is urban romance. Urban means it takes place in a city. Like, technically, this book is not urban fiction because it takes place in a small country
town.
town that's not even developed. Like, they were excited that they had a Longhorn, baby. I am from Philly, okay? Ain't no way, right? And so I think anytime that you read this kind of material, even with somebody, if you gave somebody Mega, right, and said, read this book and tell me what genre would you put it in, they would immediately say urban fiction based off of his profession, his friends, the way he speaks, the way his dress is described. And it's like, no, this is not urban fiction.
He may be an urban character, but it's not necessarily urban fiction.
Because this is based in a small country, rural town. And these characters are not urban. If anything, I would classify this, I guess, I can't even say Christian fiction because, baby,
it's all up and through there, but it definitely ain't that.
But God was not in the book. It's just, he was discussed, but we were looking. I was like, well, when is God? How is this taking place in the church and God ain't here?
You might catch a couple revelations in the book, but that wasn't that ain't it.
Did you do any research? Are you a part of church culture?
So I'm not a part of church culture. I used to be.
But,
I grew up.
So
my dad was a minister.
It's where the church culture came from, because that was very developed too. And I also think that is a culture that is often misrepresented, because as Black people, we all know we have a very specific church culture. And I think a lot of the churches get a bad rep for being like this, being not necessarily like this church, like this pastor, where people begin to put the pastor up over the
right. And the underlining of Mega's book was to amplify relationship with God rather religion. So that was very intended and a very strong theme on the underlining of the book. My dad was a minister. I'm not Seventh-day Adventist, but my dad was a minister when I was younger, and then he backslid like it was his job. But it was always funny to see him. And there's a lot of my dad and Mega, because my dad will literally give me advice that sounds like the streetest advice, but then throw a Bible verse in there, and you like, wait, what?
But is that not how Jesus reached the most downtrodden of?
Right.
I always think about the woman at the well.
Right.
You've been married 4 times. You sleeping with somebody that ain't your man. Like, you, sis, I'm finna read you for filth. But if you trust me, I'm gonna
walk you through this. I'm gonna walk you through this.
I'm gonna
hard to write. It was hard to write.
I'm gonna put a spring in you, and you're gonna have living water for the rest of your life. And I always write people, like, that the Jesus I know is not the one who y'all be talking about, because the one I know, he would have been like, you know what, baby, I seen what you did. I seen it. My father told me what you did, but I'm gonna help you, because
we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. And it may look, how I work with you may look different from how I work with that person.
I'm gonna give you the tools so we can overcome.
Definitely.
Just saying. But
this book was hard to write because I was like, oh, I see what you're doing, guy. You said you was gonna get me in his word no matter what happened. Because I literally had, like, I'm writing a book and the Bible's open. And I got devotional books out.
Writing about a pastor, and you have to. My thing, I think, what I appreciated is that the finite details, very small details in books like this matter because it carries the characters. You cannot write about a pastor in a Christian church, carrying a Christian church, and not add any context to it, because every person who picks up this book is not going to be a Christian person, or should not, or it shouldn't be, right?
Correct.
So you have to have context there, and I think a lot of people forget about the context.
Right. And there were some things, like one of my very, very good friends, she's a minister. So I was sitting on the phone, we're like, hey, so this Bible verse right here, am I interpreting this right? And she's like, well, what you need it for? I said, well, I'm writing a book, and the pastor cricket, but I need to know how to interpret it properly to know how to spin it in the wrong way. She was like, really? I was like, it's a book. I'm just trying, but I want to make sure I understand the real meaning of it before I can, put it on this pastor. And Mega needs to know the real meaning of it so that he can, do whatever he's doing. So, yeah.
Okay. This book, talk about that. It was a good blend of romance, drama, and comedy. I actually kind of watched this book in my head. No offense, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but it reminded me like an earlier day Tyler Perry play. Like, it was like I could see this being played out. Could you just kind of, what was your intention of writing like that? Was that your, like, do you set intention, like my writing style is to make you laugh through this drama, to get to a point where you have a clearer understanding?
Right. Yeah. That's my right. And no offense taken, because them plays got Tyler Perry rich. So I'm mad. I used to go to them often.
I used to go to the real plays like back in the day.
Me too. Happy.
This was very reminiscent of that to me. Like it was drama, but it was always that comedic relief.
Right.
It was also a lesson. So I don't know why people always give it, like, I don't know, like those plays to me used to be good. Like, I don't know why people give him a bad rap.
But yeah, that's what I do. I try to find ways to make certain topics, certain things more palatable. And generally comedy is the way to do it.
Right. Okay.
If you make somebody laugh, they'll stop long enough to really get it. So, and quite frankly, when I wrote Mega, I'm gonna be honest, when I wrote Mega and turned him into my publisher, I didn't think he was unhinged at all. I thought I was writing I thought I was writing a regular character, until B was like, she put up the Instagram and she was like, y'all, this is probably the most unhinged character. And I went back and said, he's unhinged. And I was like, well, maybe that's a telling that I'm used to this kind of craziness.
We going it was definitely, I mean, he was not normal. That was nowhere along the lines of, and then some of the stuff he said was just way out of, like, even the very beginning, like he always was busting a joke, nursery rhymes, you killing people, you talk, like, I think my favorite one was when he was like choking somebody, was like, so Ned, should I take Ruth on an actual date or should I just kidnap her? It was like, whoa, Brandon, hey, hun, like, that's the normal lady. You got to go ahead and do this the normal way. Like, we know you're not normal. That wasn't telling right there, is that this man was asking, like,
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, but it could have been a soft kidnap, like a.
So I think the problem with us girls who read a lot is that we've been reading the kidnapping trope.
We have.
Then now we kind of like, if it happened,
like, we be like, that's what's missing in my life. I ain't get kidnapped yet. That's why I need my husband.
Like, if you see, like, me and my friends, like, every time they said we're gonna get kidnapped, baby, hey, it can't be much worse than what we got.
Like, I mean, it could have been a little cute kidnap. Like, come on,
soft kidnap. I don't think I ever heard a soft kidnap, Monica. She said a soft kidnap. Like, I'm not gonna hurt. I ain't gonna hurt you. I need you in my life. So I'm
gonna just tell you to come get in the car with me, and we're gonna ride somewhere, and you just not gonna be able to leave. I mean, that's not necessarily kidnap. You did get in the car.
You can. Okay, I can see it. You can.
You did get in the car.
Little soft kidnap.
I don't know how the police would feel about that, but yeah.
never mind how she would feel about it, because she wouldn't, she okay, her she was a little bit spicy, but she wasn't that spicy.
No.
She was like, you know how people get like chili powder and they're like, oh, that's spicy. And you over here eating like cayenne or jalapenos, and you like
Right.
the chili powder. The chili powder was spicy. The black pepper was spicy. And you over here, meanwhile, with a habanero in your hand, like,
Right. Like, okay. Yeah.
and I think that's the difference. Is you was writing a chili powder girl, but it was a habanero man, and so
Right.
you see where I'm going with this, like,
Yeah. Yeah. He was definitely like that. Yeah. He was crazy. No, yeah. I guess when you say it, he was bold. And I guess, again, my father was kind of like that. He was very like, look now.
not daddy was kidnapping people.
Well, he ain't never kidnapped me. He's taking my engine out of my car like I'm ready for war. He's done that. That's where I got that from.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, it was a weekend at school.
What you out being grown?
It was a weekend in college, and I ran off with some boy, and I left my car at the dorm, and somebody told him to. He came up to the campus on that Friday, took my car, told the dorm director he was going to put a cone in the spot my car was in, took my car to the shop on a Saturday, took the engine out and parked it back in the same spot at the dorm, and he didn't put that car back in my engine for almost a month. He was like, nah, until you get right, you ain't going to have no engine.
Wait, why he didn't just take the whole car, Mel?
Nah, because it was the point of, your car here, but you can't move it.
Yeah. Oh, wait. All right, I got one more question, because this is completely left. Did you call him crying, or did you know he did it?
So I didn't know he did it originally.
Okay.
So I didn't know I should have, because that, like, before that happened, same car, like maybe like 2 months prior, he stole my car from the club. Look, I was a little off in college. He took my car from the club. Then at the let out, he pulled in front of the club with my car on the back of the hitch and his F-250, and everybody was outside. He was like, get your ass in the car.
Woo, child.
Yeah, my dad was real. He was real. If you know men from Charleston, he was real Charleston.
See, I don't know any. I don't. But that's hilarious. Because I just imagine you coming back from your little Netflix and chill situation, going to start your car, and then, Daddy, my car.
Yeah, I was like, my car not starting. I was like, what's wrong with my car? And I didn't even pop it. I was like, Daddy, something's wrong with my car. He was like, for real, what's wrong with it? It's not starting. He was like,
like Yvette, I stole the car, Jody.
Yeah, he was like, well, where'd you go this weekend? Was it working this weekend? Yeah, it was working this weekend. Well, where'd you go? I mean, I hung out with my friends. He was like, oh, in your car? Yeah. He was like, oh, okay. That's hard to do with no engine, but okay. That's how he was.
He had your car real.
He didn't put the engine back in until I got my grades.
He had your car real cool. He said, I know I'm gonna be her first call. He said, baby, how your weekend went? You had a good weekend, huh? Wow, who snitched on you? I hope you felt.
So you know what? I don't never be knowing, because like the same thing with the club.
They're giving Josie energy, okay? They're giving real Josie energy.
Oh, my daddy. And I want to say, I think it was the dorm director, because him and her had a whole conversation the first day I came in, and I saw them exchange phone numbers, and he was like, look, that's mine right there. So make sure if she out here wilding, text me, call me. I'm 2 hours away.
Not your dad giving a mix of Solomon and Mega, like, it's giving kind of Solomon a little bit too, like, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, with Mega being as unhinged as your daddy, were you expecting him to become an instant book bag when you released this book?
Not at all. Like, I know the girlies like unhinged, but I didn't think he was unhinged. So
when did you realize you had a book bag on your hand?
Probably the second week of after he was out. Now keep in mind, before I released him, I was already talking about him heavily. So I knew that there were people who kind of were already like, okay, tuning into, okay, this character really messing with her. And that's probably maybe one of the first times I really went into, okay, this character is on me. I don't know what's going on. So probably the second week when I was like, okay, they like Mega. So yeah.
Because I saw him all up and through. Like I said, we were on summer break. I think he was released in July.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And we were on summer break, but I had like a list of books that was like, okay, when we come back, it's some books that we just have to talk about. I know it's kind of late, and that's why this chat is so late. It's not that I didn't want to talk about it. It's just that we were on summer break, and I was like, no, we still gonna have to run this chat back because that book was everywhere in July, and I was like, we got to talk. We're gonna have to chat because when I read it, I was like,
yeah,
okay. We saw Ruth. Okay, we talked about Mecca. Let's talk about Little Miss Ruth. Like I said, Little Miss Chili Powder. She had a little spice. She got froggy with Josie a few times. Then after she met Mega, the spice level kept increasing. I'm gonna say we got her to. Let me think. She not cayenne pepper. She not chili. She might be like red chili flakes. Like sometimes you could get one and it'd be like, and then sometimes it just be like, oh, that's just another seasoning. You get where I'm going with that one?
I do.
Okay, because sometimes you can get a chili pepper flake, like, oh wait, and then sometimes you be like, where's the spice?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about Ruth and the mental struggle that she had to go through, the mental and emotional struggles she had to go through of obeying her father versus being her authentic self.
I think a lot of what I wrote into Ruth's character was, I personally feel is a struggle that a lot of people go through when they come up in religious households or religion around them. They start living for the religion versus the relationship. So you have somebody over here telling you you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. This is what the word says, which is fine, but we should more or less be listening to the Rhema word versus just reading and being like, oh, okay. So I think with Ruth, it was that struggle of, I want to guide my own relationship, but my daddy's over here and he's like the big bad wolf, and I want to honor my parents in the same method. So I think that's a struggle that, especially when you're younger and you're coming into adulthood with your spirituality, you grew up in church, so your parents probably made you go. That's me. My parents made me go to church. I had to go to church. I'm talking Wednesday Bible study. I had youth choir rehearsal, adult choir rehearsal. I don't know why I was on the youth and the adult. That didn't make sense.
I am a child.
Right. And then Sunday, but then as I got older, it was like, well, where do I really stand with God? Like what really is my relationship with God outside of the four walls of the church? Because I've seen people in church that you would think that they are just God's left hand, right hand, and then you see them in the street and you're like, oh, okay. So I think that's what it was with you, trying to balance that. I want to live this life on my own terms and be responsible for my own possible shortcomings and have that conversation with God on my own. So that's what I was trying to write into her, stressing on you have to break away sometimes. Separation is needed for elevation. In a lot of areas.
I'm definitely rooting for her, and I think I struggled because I'm like, girl, please, you 28, and I guess that deep desire to keep a relationship, and I think a lot of people are experiencing this as mental health becomes more of a priority for people, and we're starting to see. Even if you're not on social media, we're starting to hear more conversations about healthy boundaries and respect. And I actually saw something that said it's like all of this psychoanalysis that you guys do on the internet is ruining your relationships. And it's like, I can see where somebody could say that, but is it ruining relationships that were not, if the relationship wasn't healthy for you anyway, regardless of who that person is? And I think sometimes we get into this habit of, oh, that's still my father, that's still my mother, that's still my sister. Right. But if the relationship is not healthy and you learn boundaries and you try to put those boundaries in place and the other person does not respect it, who's really ruining the relationship?
Right. And is it okay to cut them off? You know, like you can love somebody from afar. I always, I tell my daughter, I was like, an apology is not an invitation to an open door back into your life. There's always there's an apology gap. Somebody does something to you, they apologize, but that doesn't erase what they did. There's still a sense of healing that comes in it. With her father,
I'm like, well, he never apologized.
No, he never did. And he in this new book that I'm writing, he goes a little further into his craziness. So some people are just delusional when it comes to their religion and when they think they're right. So,
and I think that's unfortunate because not only in these circumstances when it's a parent and a child and a parent that's narcissistic, a liar, a manipulator, and very controlling, but in any relationship where somebody has genuine love for a person and you try to express to that person, hey, I really love you. I'd really like to be a part of your life, but I need to be a part of your life in this way.
right.
Can we, negotiate the relationship for it to be healthy for both of us? And
Right.
they say no. I think a lot of people don't. The part of the conversation that's left out, and I think that I love that Mega kept checking on Ruth for that reason, is there is still a grieving process that comes with that. It still hurts, even though you know that the person is not going to do right by you. But I think a lot of in his chapters, he kept saying, oh, I didn't go this far because I did not want to further hurt Ruth. Like, I already knew this was going to hurt her because I could have dragged you to hell and really put all your business out there, but it would have hurt her more because she still valued you as her father for whatever reason.
Like he told her, I'm not going to kill him, but I'm going to still shoot him.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Unhinged. But I see where you are on this side and I am on this side, but I get it. We are going the same direction, just different speeds. You're going really fast. I'm gonna catch up eventually. We're gonna both get to the same point though. But yeah, I think and I also think it was crucial that you made her 28.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think a lot of people, I don't know, did you do that on purpose? Let me ask you.
I did.
Okay, I thought so. That's when you start to really develop. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't understand is that you do not make good decisions in your early 20s for that reason.
Right.
Like, it's literally called a superhero complex because you think you could do anything in your early 20s. Like, you think you're invincible because you do not know how to logically think about the consequences and repercussions. So I really was rooting for my girl Ruth. I think we all were. I think probably was easy to get frustrated because as an adult reading the book, you like, girl, take your money.
Right. Like, you got money. What's the problem? You clearly have stated that you have enough money to get a car to do this stuff, but you're just sitting here under this false imprisonment. What's the problem? But that just goes to show that mental chokehold can have you.
I think, yeah. And you want your parents, even with their flaws, even with you want your parents. And it's hard when you grow up with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but this is my parent. This person provided for me. They protected me. They tried to give me the life that I wanted. They sent me to college. I was able to do this. Now, Josie, I feel like she should have stepped out and got a little spicier with Josie a little earlier on in the book.
She should have.
But Josie got what was coming to her. Karma gonna come around, boomerang back, and hit you in your neck every time.
Mm-hmm.
I was confused, and I'm gonna say, like, the Josie, I saw it coming, but it was two ways Josie was going in my head as I was reading. Either the way it went, she was messing with Solomon, or she was in love with Ruth, and because of her religion could not express that she had feelings for another woman.
Now that would have been a good twist. I ain't even think of that. I guess that wasn't Ruth, but I definitely can see that. And look at me, you done said that now, all the little twists. Like, wait a minute.
But you Do you see where my mind was going? It was like,
no, that makes total sense.
either she's in love with the pastor or she's in love with Ruth, but because of the bounds of religion, she does not know how to express her deep feelings for another woman. It was like, okay, I know it's either going one of these two.
Yeah, that actually that would have been a good twist. That definitely would have been a good twist.
That was that, but Josie, I didn't want to really talk about her because girl, you had every opportunity to do well for yourself, and you like people like her. I just will never understand because you had every opportunity to do well for yourself, and you still chose bad. You still chose bad.
Some people are like that.
But speaking of characters I had frustration with, and I want to know if you've gotten this feedback before.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me really wanted to dislike Miss Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we did not get to understand her from a different point of view until the very end of the book. Right. So I held this torch to like the very last chapter. Have you gotten this feedback before?
So not necessarily. Some people was kind of like, well, dang, it seemed like she really ain't do nothing until it almost got too far, and that was intentional.
Is it because of her own underlying trauma with men and father figures?
Yeah, some of it was, and some of it is also the diligent first lady who was kind of just, even though we found out in the book what it was, but she'll let her husband go but so far, and then it'd be okay, let's pull back. But I think a lot of it was she didn't want to, the way I envisioned in my head was she didn't want to step in too tough because she wanted her daughter to grow her own. Necessarily, I need you to do this, because if I'm always stepping in for you, how are you going to step up for yourself if you're always waiting for me to be your rescuer? Okay. So if it gets too deep, like in the scene where he came in with the camera,
she wanted her to take the money and do her own thing.
Yeah, she was like, God, you have to break away. So if she would have done that, she was like, great, but I'm not going to be the one to be like, let's go. No, you have to make these decisions for yourself as a 28-year-old. And if you want to live in this way, that's what you're going to do. Now, if your daddy go too far left, I'm here.
Okay, I get it. I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna put because I was holding feet to the flame with that when I was like, I don't know if I like you or not, but I'm gonna let my grudge go because I'm a grudge holder. Okay, I'm a Cancer. Mm-hmm. Hold grudges.
Because you notice once Ruth left, then Naomi seemed to get real spicy with her husband. Like, right. But that could have been an air of protection too for her daughter. If I'm getting spicy with my husband while you in the house over you, I don't know how this man gonna treat you deeper than what he already is.
I guess it was just one of those things, and I get it from like that's why I had to ask. I had to bring to you because I do want to have dialogue about these things because sometimes we read stuff from our own internal perspective, and we're like, and I kind of get what you're saying. If she already had this one controlling parent, I'm not going to try to control you in the same way, but in the opposite of what he's doing.
Right.
But I am going to tell you that you have your own legs to stand on, and it's up to you if you do that or not. But I'm not going to say take your money and run. I'm going to see what I instilled in you as a mother and see if you actually have listened to what I've told you versus what this person has told you.
Right.
So I'm gonna let that go, and in the next book I ain't gonna say nothing smart about her. I'm just going. That's why I had to ask because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you could have did a little bit more because ain't nobody finna talk to my kid like that. Me without children. Just saying.
I mean, she stood up a couple times, but and you have to think also from that aspect. I don't think she ever wanted to be with him. You know what I'm saying? Like based on what you learn later in the book, it's sort of like one of those marriages of convenience. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're gonna let Miss Naomi live because I know we did not see the last of her because of how the book ended. But just I had to ask because I had to know if I needed to hold her feet to the fire. Like you should have been there for her. But she did support the daughter Ruth, and she did support Mega when she was like, he put his hands on my child. Oh no,
Yeah,
we're
that's
dying.
too far. That's too far. We done gone too far now.
Okay. Woo. We done ran through these questions. Mega knows that Ruth is the woman he wants almost instantly. Would you consider this love at first sight a real phenomenon? And what makes you want to write stories about it?
So I actually, I'm probably one of the rare ones. I do believe in love at first sight. I just think it's how you handle it, how you approach love at first sight.
A
I
soft
think
kidnap?
I think that, and my father has a lot to do with that. My father's always told me, when you know, you know. He's like, no man. He said, I can guarantee you, in the first hour of a conversation between a man and a woman, a man knows what boat he's going to put you in. Whether you have wife material, whether we just going to lay you down, or whether you might be a good friend. Now, how he chooses to go about that is what's different. The same thing with females. We generally know. So I think that it's very plausible to say I'm in a woman and I think she's the one, but it's just how you go about that.
But
Maybe very
in
open, like
the first
you might.
hour, how do you know this person is the one? The one though, like, can't it be? If that's the case, can't there be a lot of the ones? If
There
I know,
could be. There could be. I believe that. I believe that. I don't believe that you have one soulmate. I don't believe that you have one soulmate. I think like I could have a romantic soulmate, a friendship soulmate, different things of that nature. And I think everybody fits into your life if you allow them at a certain time in your life. So
okay,
just let's say you got married at 18, that relationship didn't work out, you got divorced at 25. That wasn't wasted years. You have to pick out what you were supposed to learn through that to move on to the next place. So that person at that time was meant to be in your life at that
okay.
time. Everything is necessary. So even
All, all of it
the
is
good,
material.
bad, the indifferent, it's all necessary, but it's our job as a person to figure out what do we need to pull from this experience to make us a better person, to be in the center of the purpose of our life, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's what it's a lot of discernment, things of that nature. So that's how I think. I think it is. And now the way Mega approached it like in the real world, no, you crazy boy. I'm about to call the police. But in the book world, we kind of crazy in the book world. We like that little oof.
I, it's
Don't get me, boo.
yeah, it's so much that goes on like in the books that but even Love Jones is my favorite movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could ever show up to my house and be like, "Hey, got that book you wanted? Did I invite you here?" like,
Love.
but when we watch it or when we read it, it's like,
Ooh.
ooh,
I want a man to love me like that. No, you don't,
no,
girl.
you don't.
You can
You would
call
be,
the police.
you would be calling the cops immediately. Call the cops.
Right.
But it was love at first sight for Megan.
It was.
Ruth needed a little convincing,
She
even
did.
up until the proposal. She was like, I don't even want to tell this man I love him back because how would I know? And I was like, girl.
And I think he said something like, I didn't need to taste ice cream more than once to know I loved it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that's a little abstract, but it's kind of like sometimes when you know, you know.
So, and I do think that you can love somebody without being in love with them. And I think sometimes those two feelings or in experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I think loving somebody is an action. I think being in love with somebody
Right.
is an experience.
Right.
That's just how I look at it. Like being in love with somebody, you're experiencing it. And that's why even after you're not in love with the person, you can still love them. But when
Right.
people are like, oh, I fell out of love with that person, but I'm going to always have love for them. I
Right.
get it because you're no longer in that experience with them for whatever reason. I'm not going to sit here and be like this reason for whatever reason because they
Mm-hmm.
hurt you too much and maybe or because they whatever. So I would think for Ruth, it's like this person showed you their character enough for you to know whether or not you can love them.
Mm-hmm.
He showed you the most important parts. He had a relationship with God. He was honest and communicative with you. Maybe a little too honest because let me tell you when it would have ended for me. That day in the mall where him and Joy, yeah, that's it for me, sir. we're done. We're done. Well, I get it that people have stuff going on way before they meet me, but you could have kept going. And that's where, like, to your point, stuff that happened in the book world could never happen in the real life, because
Right.
in real life, a nigga walk up to you and then the girl he walk up to you, we're done before we even got started, because you could have just kept going.
Right.
Very unnecessary. And now this girl is on my trail, and people, stuff like that do happen in real life.
You do.
So now this girl on my trail, and now she finding out information about me, and now she think I'm in her way, and I'm not even interested,
Right.
causing me unnecessary drama.
And
Don't
it
do
happens all the time.
it. It happens all the time. People being dishonest about their relationship status, you don't know, and now you got me, and I tell people all the time, that's the biggest issue, is that y'all don't give people options. Tell me the
Right.
truth so I can have an option, so I can opt in or opt out of how much drama I'm willing to deal with.
Exactly.
Now, granted, he told the girl Joy the truth in the book, but how serious can somebody you've been messing with for however amount of time take you? Like, I wasn't mad at Joy not taking him serious. Like, yeah, you told me in the mall in front of me that was your wife, but sir.
I mean, like, so for me, it's a lot of times as females, we hurt our own feelings.
Men
We
do it
listen,
too, but I get what you're saying.
we take the unsaid words that we imply, like like it was clear that he told her, you just a slide, we just doing this thing. But she, because of, and he may have been misleading, because I don't know why you would take your slide to the mall. You know what I'm saying? So just the slightest things can make girls think, well, it got to be more than that, because why he in the mall with me? You confusing. But I mean, sometimes you have to take what a guy. My dad always told me, you take what a guy says. If that dude say all y'all is F buddies, that's what it is. I don't care if that man fly you to Paris. You and your F buddy went to Paris. That don't mean he want to marry you. That don't mean he want nothing deeper. He wants to have sex with you under the Eiffel Tower. That's all.
Yikes, your dad was a sharpshooter. I mean, I don't have it there. Well, I mean, let's not even go there. I didn't have that experience, but I also, it's so confusing, just the mixed messaging that women get when dating. Because, oh, listen to his actions, a man's actions, and like you said, that's so confusing. Because if we only doing this one thing, why are we at the mall? Why are we eating ice cream? Why are we doing all these other things? And it's like, oh, because he's so gentlemanly. No, bro, if we're this, let's be this, or we have to put parameters around what it is. And so, like I said, I can understand why Joy was like humored at this. I just don't like the kind of woman she was, because go mess up his stuff. I'm not doing. That's the part that bothers me about women.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you bothering my things?
Right.
I don't I don't even know you, sister. Why are you bothering my things? Go bother his things.
Right.
That's when I draw the line. Like, I could give Joy a leg to stand on the you getting married with that was humorous to me. But don't come to my place of business now bothering my things.
Right. Like, baby, I saw you one time in the mall. We didn't even talk.
Go bother his things. He's the person who's playing in your face. Go bother his things. Please and thank you. That's my big issue with people like Joy. Like, keep the women out of it. I saw this post going around a post went viral on TikTok and Instagram, and it was like, the next time that number calling his phone, don't text her and come to her woman to woman. Put it in Ulta and use all her points. Sister, she has no idea about you, sister. Why do y'all always want to villainize women?
Look, let me tell you, with one of my ex's abusive relationship, one of his little side girls, she called me, yeah, that's why your man was at my house with me last night. Blocka, blocka, blocka. I said, well, sis, he came home. What didn't you do? Did you not cook his eggs right? Let me give you the recipe for his eggs. She was like, what? I said, you got to do 2 eggs. You got to split the yolk and the white. You got to whip them separately. Then you got to, and I literally sat on that phone. I said, so this is how you keep him, because you keep calling me, talk about he was at your house, but he keep coming back. And she was like, you could hear the shock. I guess she wanted to be like, Nah, bro.
And
I'll help you keep him.
and that's when you know it's more to do with the woman than the man. Because why are y'all so concerned with what the other women are doing? And that, like, stuff like that reminds me of women like Joy. Like, I'm gonna use all your altar points. Girl, I don't even know you exist.
Right,
Now,
but I'm telling you, they want to
now,
be known.
now I'm calling the cops. Now
Yeah,
it's identity fraud. Now
they
federal prison.
they want
Now
to be
what?
known. Yeah, he was at my house. Yeah, write that in your book. I was like, oh, you read my books? Which one did you read? She was like, what?
No, that was my only issue with Joy. I could have gave Joy a leg to stand on if she would have minded her business. But now you got your ass beat and you embarrassed. And I'm sorry, but that's just not. I'm not letting no mama beat
Not
my
his
ass.
mama of all people.
I'm not letting no mama beat my ass. That's just a
Mama
no
came in your house.
Yeah, that's just
You
a no
waited.
for me.
No, you waited for his mama to come.
Very silly girl. Very, very silly girl. But yeah. What did you want readers to get out of Megan and Ruth's story altogether as a collective?
As a collective, I think I wanted to get the parallel between religion and relationship and how that can affect your relationship with other people.
Ooh.
And it was a lot deeper than what I think a lot of people, some people did, but overall my hard underline was the parallel between religion and relationship and how that affects
Because
your
you always hear people saying, "Oh, I can't date somebody if they don't go to church." Like if you're a person having a church, "Oh, I can't be with somebody who go to church." But what if that person is more spiritually inclined and more in relationship with God than the people that you're in with church with?
right.
You know, business. I love that because those are conversations you hear a lot, especially in Christian Black. Let me be very specific. Black Christian culture.
Right. And Megan was willing to do it. Megan was like, I'm going to church. That's the problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been no book if the dad would just been like, you know what, okay, give me some money or something. It wouldn't have been no book, or the book would have been completely different. If that first time he went to church, the dad was like, yeah, you can date her. And try like, yeah, go ahead, give me 10K. You can date her because I know you got money. Because he was embezzling. I said that because he was embezzling. Like he wasn't just a liar and a manipulator. He was also a fraud.
Right.
So money clearly was important to Solomon.
Right.
Okay, now you said we finna see Solomon act up some more. So when can we expect a follow-up from these characters?
So I already did the follow-up for the supporting characters. Ned has his own book, Fiona, Riker. So I am currently writing Mega's. It's a Christmas book. I don't think it's a Christmas book, but he says it's a Christmas book because there's a Christmas tree in the book. But I hope to have that out that is going to be out in December.
Very much Die Hard. Very much Die Hard. It's not a Christmas movie, but it's Christmas time in the movie.
Yeah, so he was like, look, there's a piece in this book that's during Christmas, so that makes it a Christmas book. Sir, that's
not a full book or just a novella?
No, it's going to be a full book. This one actually might be. Mega was a full novel. That was one of my bigger ones. And this one probably will be too, because I think right now I might be 30K in on the writing, and I ain't even get to the meat yet, like the real like
nitty gritty. Okay, so what can we just a little sneak, like, what can we expect? A little bit of.
So in this book, Meg is still going to come with the comedy, but you're going to get to see a side of him. You're going to get to see him as a man.
Okay.
As a man with a family that has hurt, that has things happen, that him and Ruth are not always on the same accord as a married couple. You're going to see them struggle through some things. But
it's more relationship based. Like now we're in the relationship.
We are in the relationship. We are married. We got the baby. We got some things going on, but you're still going to see their love for each other. You're going to see the struggle that they go through with both of their relationships with God in this book, but it's still going to be funny Mega. He's still going to be unhinged. There's going to actually be some surprising parts in this book about his relationship, even with his best friend. You know what I'm saying? So this one is a little deeper, but you still gonna have the comedy and the ignorance and stuff. But I want to show him as a with that vulnerable side. In the first
Okay.
book, I felt like he was just very unhinged. You know, you could see his deepness, but men like that hurt. So I want to show that side of him.
Lovely. How far in the future from where this book ends in this book, how, like, is it a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
It is so at the end of this book, so at the end of Ned's book, if you read Opposite of Soft, they had just had their baby.
Mm-hmm.
So this book is about that baby Magdalene. In this book, I want to say she's like 2 or 3.
Okay.
So it's not super far.
But
Because if you look at it, if you read Opposite of Soft, then Can't Be Broken, then Pressure Cooker, Mega's in all of those books. So we're going through, he's in all of them. So you can see them. I
right.
post all the way through. So yeah. Because
Okay.
this actually picks up, I want to say maybe some months after Pressure Cooker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it. I just want to show Marcia says she loves all of your books.
Mm-hmm.
Shout
Thank
out
you.
to her. And we got Mega said it's the Christmas book. It's the Christmas book. Monica's watching on YouTube. She said he said what he said, and they are ready.
I will
So
be doing a holiday book sale. I'm going to be doing a holiday book sale as well as an end of the year all book paperback book raffle. So I'm going to be raffling
ooh,
off the entire catalog in a
that's a
book
lot.
basket, and it's going to be in a raffle form. So I'll let you know how you can get included into that raffle. But I'll be doing that at the top of the year because I want Mega to come out before I do that book, before I do the all book raffle. So that'll be 60 books.
Ooh, that's a lot of books.
It is.
All right. Well, you heard it here. I hope think first.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is my a formal announcement that will be happening.
I love when we get the tea first. Hot. Pour it. Okay. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the conversation about the book. We got a little off topic for a second, but I think the discussion needed to be had. Protect your mental health. When people ask you to do things, taking into consideration, you don't know how it may save you and how it may help you. Thank you, Mel, for participating, for chatting with us 2 months after the book came out. I really do appreciate your consideration and understand why it was 2 months after the book came out.
Thank you for having me.
Um, and just for our sister girls who don't know, tell us where we can find you on these sister girl streets, on these
So
internet streets.
you can find me under Arthur Mel Dau on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm under all those handles, and then I have when you go to those handles and you look at my bio, I have a link tree, and it'll take you everywhere Mel Dau. All my links, all my bookstores, everything you need is in that link tree.
Okay, well, there you have it. I hope you ladies have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and have a good week. We will see you next month in November for our last book chat of 2024. And do not forget, do not forget, Behind the Pens tickets are on sale now. August 2025, New York City, we are back. So go get your tickets and come meet some of your favorite authors and some of your other favorite book readers. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.